Welcome back. It's the next iteration in the battle of two hotel credit card titans, the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card against the Hilton Honors Aspire card. Ironically, two credit cards that are both issued by American Express, but two bitter rival hotel brands. Now, these cards both pack some serious credits, benefits, and could really change your experience when going to a hotel. However, how do you decide what the best card for your wallet is? Well, today, I'm not going to decide for you, but what I will do is compare these two cards in the 9 most important categories to consider when picking a premium hotel credit card. And at the end of this, you'll be able to decide exactly what makes the most sense for you and your travel habits. Have any predictions as to where we may land? I think some of these category winners are going to surprise you. Now, without further ado, let's jump right on in. Okay, one main call out before we get into category number 1. I'll be comparing these two cards for a typical traveler who would be on the road between 5 and 6 times a year. This is important because without either of these two cards, you're not going to experience anything close to the benefits that these two cards will provide. If you travel more, you may get more of the benefits and more of the experiences, but if you travel less, take that into consideration as well. As always, this is your decision and your mileage may vary. Now let's start with comparing the category of annual fee. The Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card charges an annual fee to hold it of $650, where on the other side, the Hilton Honors Aspire card comes in at $550. Now, while it's important to take into account credits, benefits, and everything else that makes up an annual fee, the great thing about spot comparisons in a video like this is we can look at each individual one in a vacuum and pile points together. And then we'll see by the end which actually holds more weight and has more of an advantage when you stack them together. However, to add a little bit of context to the annual fee question, the Bonvoy Brilliant comes in at $650 but offers two really big value additions. First, an annual free night award that's given in the second year holding the card. And it offers $300 in dining credits. That $300 dining credit lowers its effective annual fee to $350 right at the start. On the other side, the Hilton Honors Aspire offers an uncapped free night even in that first year that you have the card, and its main credit is a $200 flight credit. That can be applied throughout the year and reduce the effective annual fee again to $350. Sound familiar? We're going to learn a lot more as the categories go on, but in the comparison of annual fee, the Hilton Honors Aspire gives you a lower starting point to work down to begin to get your money's worth. That's why it takes category number 1. Next, let's talk sign-up bonuses. As we know, sign-up bonuses are one of the most lucrative parts of any credit card you get into, these cards or any cards aside. And we know statistically that most people massively undervalue the opportunity to get a peak sign-up bonus when they're looking for a credit card. The Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card has a sign-up bonus currently at the time of recording of 185,000 Bonvoy Brilliant points. That's after spending $6,000 in the first 6 months, and this is the highest ever offer on the card. Historically, the sign-up bonus ranges from about 100,000 to 150,000 points. Now, the Aspire card has an 150,000 point sign-up bonus. It's got the same spend requirement in the same time frame as the Bonvoy Brilliant. This sign-up bonus has ranged historically anywhere from 150 to 175,000 points. Now, I'm going to get much deeper into the value of points in the next section, but at a conservative value, the Bonvoy Brilliant sign-up bonus is worth about $1,295 in cash value for booking hotels, whereas the Hilton Honors Aspire sign-up bonus is worth about $750 in cash value for booking Hilton branded properties. So at the moment with the elevated offer, the Bonvoy Brilliant is the clear winner, and some may say it's not fair to compare an all-time high offer with a typical Hilton Honors Aspire offer, but even if we brought the Bonvoy Brilliant offer down to something more typical like 150,000 Bonvoy points, we'd still see the Bonvoy cash value being quite a bit higher than the Hilton Honors Aspire card and what you could get in cash value from that typical sign-up bonus. Regardless, I always encourage anybody to be patient and pinpoint the highest possible offers. You can do this by going down to the link in the description of this video and signing up for bonus offer notifications. You could select exactly what card or cards you want, and you'll just get an email whenever those cards are going on high offers. Okay, I teased it a little bit with the sign up bonus and talking about cash value. But let's talk about the point value that both of these cards bring to the table. This is focused on what your hotel points are actually worth when redeeming for stays. Now, here's a pro tip. If you're comparing these points to other credit cards, get them a little bit separated from a typical credit card point. First, these are only really good for hotel redemptions. Unlike transferable currency, which can be used for gift cards, flights, or hotels, amongst other things, these are really meant to only be redeemed at Bonvoy properties or at Hilton Honors properties. Now, you want to take a little bit of time to see what sub-brands you could redeem them for. On one side, Marriott has a huge range, and on the other side, Hilton, as a direct competitor, has a very similar lineup of properties scaling from modest to very luxurious themselves. That being said, we can look at publishers like NerdWallet or the Points Guide to value points and what you can get in a real-world redemption. The Points Guide values Hilton points at 0.5 cents each and Marriott points at 0.7 cents each. Those numbers feel the most realistic from what I've seen in my own booking experience. To me, those numbers seem a little bit inflated. However, both sources have Marriott points rated higher, so we're going to give the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant the winner in this category. Now, we've got a tight race going on as we head into earnings rates, with the Bonvoy Brilliant card up 2-1. As for card earnings, the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant earns 6x back on hotels, 3x back at restaurants, 3x back on flights booked directly with airlines, and 2x on each dollar spent on non-category purchases. Now, what does this actually mean when you're spending on the card for Marriott Bonvoy properties? Well, you get 10x member points per dollar as a Marriott Bonvoy member. Everybody who's a member gets that. However, your base level Platinum Elite status, which is guaranteed on the Bonvoy Brilliant, gets you 5x member points more per dollar, and your credit card itself, as I said, gets 6x member points. That totals a 21x multiplier per dollar spent at Bonvoy properties. However, let's level the playing field and give this a real-world valuation for return on dollars spent. When you plug in the point valuations, that's 14.7% back on Marriott Bonvoy stays, 2.1% back on restaurants and flights, and about 1.4% back on everything else. Those numbers allow you to compare Marriott cards to other credit cards that you may consider getting. What about the Hilton Honors Aspire? The Hilton Honors Aspire card earns you 14x points on hotels and resorts within the Hilton portfolio, 7x on select travel, 7x on dining, and 3x on everything else. When you put all of the benefits together, this will end up being 34x back at Hilton Honors properties. That's 20x points per dollar for your Diamond status and 14x member points per dollar for your Aspire card. Now, if we level this playing field, the return on spend gets you 17% back when booking at Hilton, 3.5% back on select travel and dining, and then 1.5% back on everything else. Now, take note, it's really similar how close these cards are going to get as they compete for your business from this point here on out through the video. The margins are going to be really small, and we see this with both cards offering elevated multipliers on dining and flights. However, for me, this one isn't that close. The Hilton Honors Aspire card, even though Hilton points aren't valued very much, it's actually a decent card to spend on. That's rare for a hotel and even an airline credit card. The earning rates can be really solid, which is why the Hilton Honors Aspire is the winning card in this category. Now, here's a little bit of a pro tip. If you care about earnings rates on any credit card, you're going to want to install Rakuten as a free browser extension. I've got a $30 boost for you down at the link below in the description to get started, but it's essentially a free additional credit card boost on top of whatever rewards you'd already be earning from shopping online. I've used it and have earned hundreds of dollars since installing it. It's really one of the easiest tips I can give anybody out there who cares about earnings multipliers and getting the most out of their credit card spend. Now, here's one of the most important categories: free night awards. What an incredible perk that both of these credit cards offer you the opportunity to redeem a free night at their hotels just for holding the card. This is massive because it's going to make a huge difference in eating into the annual fee that you're prepaying for the privilege of that card and the other benefits that come with it. So, what are the details and which one is actually better? The Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card offers you one free night award every single year after your card renewal. You can redeem up to a value of 85,000 Marriott Bonvoy points on the room that you're looking at, and you have the opportunity to flex add up to 15,000 more points to cap off that redemption. An 85,000 point redemption loosely translates into $595 in value. So if you max it out, you're almost completely making up for the annual fee on that card with the value of a high point room. Now you can also get a second free night if you spend $60,000 on this credit card. For the Aspire card, you get one free night, even in the first year holding the card and every single year after renewal. The big deal with this card is as long as it's a standard room, there's no Hilton Honors point cap on what you can redeem. That means you can really go outside the box and hop into some crazy hotels for a really cool experience for your one free night certificate. You also get a second free night after spending $30,000 and a third after spending $60,000 on this card. Now, as you could tell, that's huge value potential and a main part of the credit card strategy for anybody who looks at that Hilton Honors Aspire. It also goes a long way in reducing that $550 annual fee. All of the above make this an easy decision. Another point to the Hilton Honors Aspire card. Let's talk status. Folks, after seeing the Bonvoy Brilliant start really strong, going up 2-1, the Hilton Honors Aspire card has charged back and has now taken the lead. The Aspire card currently stands at 3-2 in its favor in the super important, highly official comparison. Let's get back to business and talk hotel status. This is one of the main reasons people would consider paying for a high-value credit card to instantly fast-track themselves to elite hotel status. With the Bonvoy Brilliant, you get automatic Bonvoy Platinum Elite status. You normally only get this after staying 50 nights, so you really saved yourself a lot of stays, a lot of money, and a lot of time. With this status, you get boosted point earnings of 50%, which we talked about in that multiplier back earlier in the video. You get late checkout, room upgrades, including suites, pending availability, welcome gift choice between points, breakfast, or an amenity, hotel lounge access at properties that have it, and a dedicated elite and elevated support level of customer service. On the Hilton Honors Aspire side, you get automatic Hilton Honors Diamond status. You'd normally only get this with Hilton after staying 60 nights. You also get a boosted point earnings on Hilton stays of 100%. We talked about that earlier. Late checkout, 5th night free on award stays, room upgrades, including suites, again, pending availability, a daily food and beverage credit or continental breakfast, which can vary by the property you stay at, and executive lounge access, again, at the hotels that do have a lounge space. Now, first of all, the main value appeal right here is the shortcut to status. You're just going to be treated differently when you hold one of these cards at a lot of the properties you stay at compared to someone who hasn't made the investment in a credit card like this. However, note, a lot of these perks and values are very property dependent. Data points tell us that the experience is much better outside the United States than it is within, and sometimes your upgrades won't be honored or there just won't be availability reserved for you, and you just kind of have to live with that. It's a nice opportunity, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. Still, when you take that with a grain of salt, these cards are meant to compete with each other, and to me, they're almost identical, which is why I'm giving this category a tie. I know, everybody hates that, but I truly couldn't differentiate between the two, and I just want to say, it's going to be up to the other categories and your personal preference as to what makes the difference. Just know they're great statuses, and I hope you get to enjoy them for yourself. Okay, so we talked a lot about the biggest benefits on the card. But what about the other credits and benefits packed in to help you get value out of your choice? Well, for the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant, you'll get free Priority Pass Select membership, which means access to over 1,700 lounges worldwide. You'll get that $300 dining credit broken into $25 a month increments, a $100 property credit on qualifying charges at the Ritz-Carlton or St. Regis properties during a 2-night minimum stay. You get 25 Elite Night credits, a Brilliant Earned Choice Award after spending $60,000 on the card, which could be a second free night award, 5 nightly upgrade awards, 50,000 Marriott points, or $1,000 off of a bed from any Marriott Bonvoy retail brand. Now battling on the other side with the Hilton Honors Aspire card, they start you off with $400 in Hilton Resort credits. That's split halfway down the year into $200 chunks. There are only select resort eligible hotels though, so don't be under the impression that this $200 semi-annually is going to be very easy to redeem. However, you do get a $200 flight credit that can be used directly on airfare booked through any airline. And the hack here for value hunters is to load $50 a quarter, which is what this is broken down to, into United Travel Bank credit, essentially a rolling gift card with United Airlines. You get a $200 plus clear credit, a $100 property credit for the Waldorf Astoria and Conrad properties, and car rental status through National Emerald Club Executive. Now, that's a lot, so I like to break things down to their simplest level possible. Here's the short napkin math of these credits and benefits. Both of these cards have a massively easy credit to take advantage of. On the Bonvoy Brilliant, it's the $300 in dining. On the Hilton Honors Aspire, well, $200 in flight credits. Those bring both cards down to an effective $350 annual fee. Now, how do you make the choice from there? Because that's really the same. To me, what stands out on the Bonvoy Brilliant is going to be the Priority Pass lounge access. If you value that, go with that card. However, if you value the resort credit and you're willing to go out of your way to stay at those properties, the clear credit or car rental status, if any of those sound good, well, the Aspire card is what's going to give you more experience boosts throughout your time with it. For me, the latter feels more achievable. I don't value Priority Pass lounge access quite so much because I've got better lounge access with different credit cards I hold. That's just a personal decision, but that's based on Priority Pass lounges being very hit and miss in terms of their quality and how much value I really get. I really see myself getting more value from the Hilton Honors Aspire credits, which means I'm giving the point in this category to the Aspire card. All right, we're hitting the home stretch with this head-to-head comparison, and the Hilton Aspire card has really taken an impressive lead. The Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant would have to win the last two categories to even the score. So, when we look at hotel accessibility and brand footprint, let's see if Marriott can take a step back towards becoming more competitive. Considering hotel footprint is important. If the hotels aren't in areas you want to stay, what's the purpose of having a high-powered elite credit card to get those experiences with? The answer is there is none. You couldn't use those benefits that you want. Well, fortunately, as I'm sure you're pretty well aware, both Marriott and Hilton have expansive footprints. They're two of the biggest hotel brands in the United States and even internationally. However, there is a difference. Marriott has over 9,600 properties worldwide, with 6,400 of those being in the US and Canada. Hilton boasts over 8,800 properties worldwide, with roughly the same number being located in the US and Canada. The main takeaway is that both have a ton, which should make you feel good about either of these options. However, Marriott does statistically have slightly more, which means they get the edge and the point in the accessibility and the footprint category. Now we're on to our last category. In my opinion, sustainability, which is what we'll judge these cards on here today, is potentially one of the most important categories we could end with. Sustainability is your experience holding the cards in years 2 and beyond. Sure, it's really hard to lose with those massive sign-up bonuses and all the benefits that you'll get for the first time in your first year holding these cards. However, do they become a drag on your wallet and something you regret getting into years after? Well, that's what sustainability decides for you. Now that I've got you worried about investing so much into these cards and being stuck with them, the good news is both of these are actually very sustainable credit cards as far as credit cards go. With the Bonvoy Brilliant, you start with a higher annual fee, but that's really counterbalanced by a really easy $300 dining credit. You also got the free night award, which can be used for a peak style hotel trying to max out that $85K, or even just something more practical between $150 and $250. You're already in a really good place about getting your money back on this card. Now, you just have to ask yourself, once you're close to that $0 effective annual fee, if the boosted Marriott earnings rates, the Platinum Elite status, and the lounge access were accessible, is really worth you going to the effort to actually secure the card. Now, with the Hilton Honors Aspire card, you do have a lower starting point for that annual fee. A bit smaller of a primary credit, but still $200 in flight credits, which should be usable. And that gets you down again to $350. In my mind, where the Hilton Aspire sets itself apart for so many people is in two areas. It's that uncapped free night and the potential experience you can have with that. Again, you don't have to. You could stay at a practical property and still eat into that annual fee, but the option's there, and that's really cool. And of course, you can actually spend on this card. Those earnings multipliers and how high they are, even with the low value of Hilton Honors points, makes it not a bad card to spend on strategically in those higher elevated categories. To me, as far as sustainability goes, it simply feels easier as long as you're willing to put the effort in to erase that annual fee on the Hilton Honors Aspire, which is why that card gets the sustainability category. Now, let's do a full recap of each of the winners for every different category. When you tally them all up, the Hilton Honors Aspire comes out 5-3 over the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card. Here's my bottom line. These cards are razor thin. In my opinion, 5-3 does not do this battle justice. Some of these categories and the decisions I had to make when valuing them were really not deserving fully of having to give a point one way or another. They were really that close. But this is a comparison, and I did have to make that decision. In my eyes, you could go with either one of these cards and really have a great experience. Maybe for you, you value one category way more than another one on this list, and that totally swings your decision. Again, that's up to you. I'm just here to give you the information you need and some perspective to help inform the decisions you make. Now, if you feel that either of these cards could be right for you, one of the best ways to support the channel and the videos I make every single week is to go down to the link below when you actually go and apply for the card. Doing so really helps, but please don't rush yourself and take your time when making your decision on either of these two options. Regardless if the cards aren't for you, but you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up and subscribing for more content, that really goes a long way too. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.